What's going on, guys? It's Jono, and today we're going to be talking about how you can scrape any single website out there on the internet today using make.com. The cool thing is that you do not need to know a single line of code whatsoever. This is for beginners, and they can walk through this whole process and learn everything they need to know about web scraping, anything from simple websites all the way up to really advanced listings like Yelp, and taking off any information that you want, whether it's like emails or phone numbers for lead generation or anything else. So let's dive into it and let's take a look at what this looks like. So we're using Make. It's free to sign up. It's an automation platform. It's one of my favorite platforms, maybe my favorite platform that I currently use. And we're going to be building out a workflow like this. It probably looks maybe a bit scary, but it's very, very simple in nature. And it's going to allow us to go through any website and essentially extract information. We're going to be going through two today. One is going to be a simple website that I created here, and the other website is going to be a Yelp listing, right? So we're going to go through all of the different listings on Yelp, right? And we're going to pull out each business one by one, go to the business page, and then we're going to extract all the information that we want, right? Such as the website and the phone number and the business name and all of that kind of stuff. So let's kind of take a look at how this works. We're going to run this scenario. I'm just going to run this on the Yelp page, but we're only going to pull in one listing just to keep the operations low, just because we're testing right now. But we just push this live into this spreadsheet, and here we go. We have the company name, we have their phone number, we have all the services that they offer, and the website that we can find off of their website, instead of just the Yelp website. And then we can add context and date. And there's gonna be a couple ways we're gonna go about doing this. So there's no one real way to scrape a website, but I'll be showing you multiple different ways from easy to hard. So let's dive in, let's recreate this. The blueprints are gonna be down below for you guys to download, so you don't have to recreate the whole thing. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to this channel, because I'll be making tons of videos just like this one we're watching. Okay, perfect. So we're going to recreate this in make.com. We're gonna create a new scenario. And the first thing we want to do is use this HTTP module. So essentially what this does is it allows us to make a request to a particular website. There's a lot of different actions here. Really the only one we need to make is make a request. All of these other ones are just more advanced ways of making a request, where there's maybe verifications, you have to log in or have credentials to access resources. We're just making a basic request to a basic website that's publicly displayed. So we don't actually have to authenticate or anything, right? So we just have to create a basic request, and there's a couple of steps that we have to put in here. So the first thing we're going to do is scrape this website, and we essentially want to pull out the phone number, and we want to pull out the email here, right? So what we're going to do is, first of all, copy the URL and paste it into the URL field here, right? So this is what the website is that we're going to be scraping. And there's multiple methods that we can choose: get, post, put, patch, delete. So essentially what this means is it's coding jargon for how do you want the module to react, right? In a get method, you're requesting information. So you're just saying, hey, give me this information. This is what I'm looking for. So we're just looking for a static file on the website. So get is fine for us. Post is if we're like, hey, let's send information to a different server to save, right? Maybe like you have a database and you're sending like information about somebody. Put is update, delete is delete, right? So in this particular module, we're just requesting information, so we can go ahead and select get. We don't have to enter in anything for the headers or the query string, because it's a very simple request that we're having, and we can choose application xwww form URL encoded. It doesn't really matter what you put here. And we'll click OK, and we're going to run. Okay, sweet. So we have officially run it, and we already have received an output back. So you can see there's two different things on the screen. You can see the input, right? And then the output, and this is what we care about here, right? So the output, you see a status code here, 200, which means, hey, good job, nothing broke or nothing failed, so we're good to go. You can see headers, cookies, but really what we want to know is data. And essentially what's going on here is it's scraping the entire page, all of the all of the code, right? Very similarly, if you opened up the Google Developer Console and you saw all this code here, this is essentially what it's pulling back. You can just open this up by hitting the three dots, going down to more tools and developer tools here, and then opening it up, right? This is essentially what you're getting back, is all of the code on the page. Now, what we have to do is we have to find the information we're looking for with the code of that particular page. And this is a lot more simple than you probably think. It does look a bit overwhelming. There's a ton of stuff. But the first thing we want to do is break it down to something that's like usable, right? For most people watching this, I'm sure you guys probably don't want to code or don't know how to code. And for the purpose of this tutorial, that's not the point. We want to make this really, really simple. So how we can start is by taking the code and just making it non-code, right? So just text so that it's very easy to work with. So we're going to use something called a parser, and you can click on the text parser here, and we're going to parse that page and essentially remove all of the HTML from that page. So we're just working with simple text. So all we have to do is click HTML to text, and we have to put in the data here, right? We'll click OK and we'll run. It's going to give us this warning saying, hey, you should end with a parser. You can click ignore these warnings, go away, never warn me again, and then click run. And let's take a look at the results that we have. So all of a sudden it goes from all of this code to just text, right? Still certain, elements are here, but for the most part, we have the page, right? Okay, so this is pretty cool. So we have, all the basic things here. Like if I was just to copy and paste this over here, I think this is probably in one of these frequently asked questions here. Let's pull this up. We should be able to actually find this on the page. Okay, so that doesn't look accessible, but let's see this one here. Okay, so top of the line equipment, right? So you can kind of see it here, all-in-one solution, top of the line equipment, editing your pictures, your style, custom software to make planning easy, all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's pulling in the text directly off of the page. Cool. So that's the first step. Now what we want to do is we want to grab the phone number and the email, right? And it's actually just down below here. So how we can go about doing this is we can similarly use the text parser again, and just very simply, we can click match elements. And we're just gonna use the built-in features in make.com to pull out the phone number and to pull out that email as well. So we can actually select the pattern email, and there's nothing that we have to do here. There's no way we have to format it. It's just gonna find emails and pull it out for us. We can put this text in here and then run this again, and it should remove the email. Okay, awesome. So we have two matches for the emails here, right? So essentially it went through the page and it found two instances of this email. The reason why there's two instances of this email is because this is actually a hyperlink. So if I was to open up the email here, right, you can actually see if you zoom in that it says, info@videokings.ca, and then there's these brackets and it says info@videokings.ca again. And the reason why it says that again is just because it's a hyperlink. So if you click this, it would automatically push you to send an email to this email address. Okay, so let's say, for example, now we've got the email, we want to do the same thing, but this time we actually want to grab the phone number. We'll go back to the text parser again, and we will match, actually, let's just click on this. We'll match elements again, right? And this time we're gonna load in the phone number here. We're gonna pass that same text through here, and we'll try it again. So let's see what happens this time. Okay, sweet. So in the results, it's also giving us another number as well here. So match, there's the number, and we can download more, and you can see here that there's another match as well, right? So we've effectively already scraped a simple website and got the contact info in here, right? And you can have hundreds or thousands of these websites queued up in like a Google Sheet, and you can process all of these instantly, right? So that's pretty cool. So we have the information that we're looking for on this website. Now, a couple other things that we could do here. let's just take a look at this website. We could try and pull in different elements of the website. So for example, maybe I want to pull in the header here, right? So capturing more than 1,000 events every single year. So what we could do is we could use a pattern to pull this out, but what would be more beneficial for something like this is to actually use the HTML, right? So if we go into the developer tools and we click more tools down here and we open up the developer tools and you hover over this, right? You should be able to see that it's an H2 tag, right? So what we can do is we can find everything in this H2 tag and say, hey, I want to grab all of the text within it, right? What actually might be a bit more simple is to actually grab the H1, because usually there's only one H1 on any given website, right? Or at least as an SEO principle, that's what the H1 is intended to be. So what we can do is we can grab everything in this H1. And how we want to do it is, of course, by, well, there's two options here. We can either use artificial intelligence, or we can use another pattern to pull it out. So let's try artificial intelligence this time. We're going to use ChatGPT, and we're going to, where is it? Create a message up at the top here. And we're going to click on this and just make sure that if you don't currently have ChatGPT, here you're going to have to connect it, right? So in my instance, I already have this. And if you're not able to use it, it's because you have to add money to it as well. Just make sure that you have like a balance of $5 or else it might not work. So we're going to select create a chat completion, and the model, we can just go ahead and use GPT-4o, and we're going to create a message. So in this message, it'll be a system message, and we're providing context for ChatGPT to pull out everything in this H1 tag, right? So what we could say is, please pull out all the text in the first header tag on this website. Do not include the code, just the text in between the lines, in between the H1 tags. And then we could say, here's the code, and then we could drop this down. In this case, we're actually going to want to pass the data here, because this is going to contain the HTML, whereas this right here, we remove the HTML. So we can just give this a shot. I'm going to put 200 max tokens. This is how much you can essentially spend by using this particular completion. And we'll go ahead and run this and see what kind of result we get. So we ran into an error. Okay, that was pretty weird here, but essentially I just had to delete this and then redo the whole thing, and then it worked the second time. So now what we can do is we can give this a shot here. So we're gonna run through this with the AI model that we just built here. And it's gonna give us quite a few different responses here. Let's see what it provides us with. So you can see it's already given us 4. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to force stop this. We just want to make sure that with this, it's not giving us too many responses, and how we can stop this from happening is just putting the GPT module right in front of everything else. And we'll go ahead and ignore these warnings and run it one more time. Here we go. The reason why it's doing that, by the way, is because this one has like 2 responses, and in these responses it might have like multiple different matches. So it's just running this completion every single time for every single option here. So we've put it to the front, and let's see the response that it gave us for this. So it said wedding photography. Sweet. So it did match correctly. If we go back to the website, it says wedding photography. So it understood right away that that what we were trying to do is pull out the text from the H1 tag. So that's a pretty simple way to go about doing it if you just don't want to have to focus on any pattern matching. But another way that we can go about doing this as well is by adding another module, and we can do match patterns. So we're gonna type in parser here, and we're gonna do match pattern advanced. And this can be super beneficial, and it's definitely, if you're gonna want to learn how to scrape websites, you're definitely gonna wanna know how to do this. So with this module, we have to provide it with a pattern and extract the information we're looking for with that pattern. So there's a couple options. Global match, if checked, the module will find all matches rather than stopping. You know, if you're looking for phone numbers, for example, maybe you want to grab all the phone numbers, but if you only want one result from the pattern, then I would say go ahead and check yes. So yes is for one result, no is for many results. Case sensitive, I think this is going to be fine either way, but usually I would keep it as case sensitive. Multi-line, you can keep no. Single line is no as well. And then continue this execution of the route even if the module finds no matches. Yes, of course. Otherwise, if there's no matches found, it'll stop this whole thing from running. And then we have to create a pattern, and we have to add in the text, right? So first thing is first, we need to add the text that we need to scrape or find the data from, which is this HTML here, right? And for the pattern, we have to use something called regular expression, or regex. And how regex works is it essentially is like somewhat of coding where you don't have to code, I promise you. We're not going to be getting into that. This is going to be done automatically, but just the theory behind it is when you use something called regex, it essentially allows you to find patterns in a particular line or in text, right? So if you have something like an H1 tag, right, with the keyword inside of it. And let me just kind of go back to showing you guys what that looks like, right? If we open the developer console here and we see this H1 tag here, and we want to pull out this, we can say in regular expression, hey, grab everything in between the H1 tag, right? And that's a simple way to use regex. And how we do this automatically without having any coding involved is by using ChatGPT to do this. Okay, so effectively, if we come back in here, what we want to do is pull in. So we'll open up the developer console. Once again, you can hit the three dots, more tools, and developer tools here. And you just want to find this wedding photography on the page. And we're going to go ahead and copy this element and then come into ChatGPT and say, please create a regex formula to extract the text within this H1 tag. And then it will come up with a pattern here. So here's the pattern, and we can just go ahead and copy this pattern over here, and we can paste it in here. Now, if you guys want to learn more about regex and all that kind of stuff, you can go over to something like regex.com, and you can even just test it out here, and you can paste in the expression that you're looking to test, and you can also paste in the text that you want the regular expression to be finding a pattern within below, and you can see that there is one match here, right? One match, and it did pull in this whole line of code here. So it is working, and you can learn more about regex if you're interested in this. But for me, I would personally rather just use ChatGPT because it's just so much faster. So let's go ahead and let's actually try this out. Let's run this and see what the results are that we get from this module here. Okay, sweet. So the value is wedding photography, right? So it did work without us having to do anything in terms of coding. We just copy and paste. We're using JavaScript, or sorry, we're using a regular expression here to pull out information. This obviously looks scary, but you don't really have to know what this actually does. You just need to get the result from ChatGPT. And this is going to be super common If you want to use if you want to do scraping and you want to build the system yourself, you're going to need to know how to find patterns in the text and remove those patterns. And using ChatGPT, you can pretty much create any pattern pretty much instantly, and it's going to work most of the time the first time. So there we have it. We have scraped a website, right? A very simple website. We've got in things like the phone number and the H1 tag, and we got the email down here, right? So we got some pretty useful information. But let's say that we want to turn this on steroids, right? And we don't want to just do like one basic website. Maybe we want to go to something like Yelp, and we want to find all of the listings for a particular keyword. We want to scrape the search page, find all the listings, go into the listings page, and then scrape all of those websites one by one, right? How can we do something like that? Now we're gonna build out a system that's a little bit more advanced to take your web scraping capabilities all the way to the next level. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this page here, and we're gonna try out Yelp now. Right? So in Yelp, I just typed in landscaping services and I put the location to New York, NY, United States. And all we have to do is copy this URL, okay? And next we're gonna go back in and we're going to create another web scraping module here. So in scenarios, we'll go back and create another module here. Okay, perfect. And very similarly, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have an HTTP module, and we're gonna make a basic request, and we're gonna send it to this page, right? And the cool thing about this, in the URL, it's actually giving us all the information we need to not only come back to this particular page, but in the URL here, you can see find description, and it says landscaping, and this plus is representing a space, right? So it's landscaping services. So you can see the actual keyword here is landscaping services, and that's in the URL, right? So as soon as we find this page, it's gonna pull in these exact results. And then we also have the location, which is find location. And that is New York, right? New plus, the plus is the space sign, or the space, New York, and then United States, and all that kind of stuff. So these two values are presented in this URL, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, we're gonna just use this to find the exact information. So method is get, and body can be application URL encoded. And we'll go ahead and run this one time and see the results here. So status code is 200, so it is a success. And the data, once again, is super overwhelming. There's like tens of thousands of lines of code here, right? So just super, super overwhelming, but we'll break it down. We're gonna do the same thing like we did before. We're gonna go into the text parser and we're gonna do HTML to text, and we're going to use the data here, right? So we're gonna copy that in, and we'll run it one more time, and we're gonna ignore warnings. Sweet. So we have all of the text from that website as well now. And all this text actually does contain all of these listings, right? Which is pretty cool. So the next step that we want to do is we want to be able to find the exact URLs for all of these sites here, so that we can open up these tabs one at a time and then go into the next page, which, for example, with True Green Lawn Care, we want to go into their Yelp page, and we want to get things like the phone number and the website, maybe the directions, the name, all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's a two-step process. First, we need to know how to scrape the listing, and then once we get the listings with all the results, then we need to know how to actually find every single page and get the information off of every single page. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Firstly, we need to find the URL here. So let's just pull in one of these companies here. We're gonna start with this, let's just see. So let's do Sunrise Paving and Landscaping, right? So we're gonna wanna pull in this. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this URL and we're gonna find out where in this text it actually is, so that we know how to take it out. Now, in these URLs, they don't actually include the HTTPS www.yelp.com, so we can go ahead and remove that, and it should help us find this. We're gonna remove all this extra stuff as well, and it's not in here. Let's try this data here, and it's also not there. So let's find another listing to see if we can pull it in here. So we're gonna go to this one and we're gonna copy this URL here. So Moya Landscaping Brooklyn, copy that and come back in, and we're gonna test this out in the HTML to text module here. We're gonna open up the text field and we can see that this is now here, right? So this is pretty sweet. We have all of these links, right? So /biz/Moya-landscaping Brooklyn. But the problem is too, is that there's just so many of these links, right? And in fact, there's probably hundreds on this particular page, right? So we have to figure out how we can get just one of these links, and how we can get the same link, or just one unique link for every single one of these business listings. One for Moya Landscaping, one for Marventano's Landscaping, all of that kind of stuff, right? So what we're gonna do is we're going to create another module, and we're gonna first of all find all of these links on the page. So we're gonna do text parser, and we're gonna do get elements from HTML, and we will do links here, and we're gonna actually start with this data here. So we'll click yes, just in case there's no links, it'll still continue. And let's give this a shot and see what it returns. So we scraped the page, converted it to text, and we got these links. Okay, sweet. So that's a lot of links, tons and tons and tons and tons of links, 343 to be exact. So how do we get the specific ones we're looking for, right? If I pull in this Moya Landscaping Brooklyn, I can see that they have 14 different links here, right? So the first thing is you can see they all start with /biz. So the first thing I want to do probably is make sure that we remove any links that don't have this in here, right? So we need to set up a filtering step. The next module will be a flow control iterator. So we're going to go through every single one of these links, link by link. But before we do that, we just want to filter this out, and we'll return to this step in a second. So we'll call this filter, and the href link, it has to contain /biz/, right? So all of the links that are currently in here that don't have that in there are not going to be passed through. So if we take a look at this, like this link here, like https www.axiom.com, this is not going to filter through. It's not going to pass because it's not the kind of link that we're looking for. So let's just open up all the results again, and let's see if we can find a particular link here that is different. So this one's OSQ, this one's OSQ, this one's OSQ, OSQ, but this one is HRID, HRID, OSQ, 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 OSQ. So let's look at these HR IDs here, right? Because now we're filtering it down. So let's say that it has to contain this in here. So we're going to filter it down and click an and rule, and the link has to contain as well this. But now we're stuck and we still have two links here that are the exact same. So let's go through this example one more time and see if we can find a difference between the two of these, right? And maybe what we do is it also So these actually, just looking at it, appear to be the exact same link, but I just realized that these are different parts of the page. So we're not actually looking up the element, we're only looking up the href here, that module. So we're actually going to be okay to proceed as is. We just need this HRID in here that makes it unique. And we can go ahead, save this, and we'll pass in this href. And let's test this out and see what we get here. So we're scraping the page, and it's provided us with 10 different links. So if I open up the output, here's one link. We can actually go ahead and open this link up. So let's delete this. And remember, we need to have yelp.com in front of it, and then paste this in. And here we go. So it has now opened up to this page. GNC, this is a different listing, but there's 10 different listings on this particular page, right? So it's going to pull in all of these different profiles here. So that's pretty cool. We have now managed to scrape on this page all of the different listings, right? 10 at a time, okay? And what we can do now is, so we've pulled in the 10, we filtered out the other 350 links that don't matter, and now we have to iterate through them, which we had the attributes href, right? So the href here is just all the links that we're like, these are the links that we're trying to find, and we're going to iterate over each one. So what iteration means is, say there's 10 links on the page here, there's result 1, result 2, result 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on and so forth. We're going to go through each of those links individually, and then have a separate kind of mini workflow for all of them. So we're going to go through each one, and we're going to find the business name, business phone number, services they offer, and all that kind of stuff, right? Individually, one at a time. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We can save this, and what we need to do now is actually go to that particular page. So we'll have another HTTP module here, and we're going to make a request. And this time we're going to go to the URL that is denoted by the href here. Actually, sorry, the value here. So if we open up the value, you can see it's this link right here. Sweet. But if we just open this up, it's not going to go to anything, right? So what we need to do is make sure that for this particular link to work, we need to pass in the HTTPS yelp.com in front of it. And then it will work exactly as intended. So let's put this in front of it, and we're going to remove this backslash. This is going to be a get method. We'll do application URL encoded and save that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to run this one more time and see how this works. Now I'm actually going to stop this before it finishes, because it's going to actually load up all of these pages here one at a time, and we can actually see the results coming in, right? So it's just going through every single one of these pages. Now, a couple things on this is I'm going to stop this quickly here. It's going to throw the error because I stopped it. We want to make sure that we have enough time in between each one of these pages, because if you just start, sending tens or hundreds or thousands of results or inquiries to particular pages, what's going to happen is Yelp or any real software company is going to rate limit you. What rate limiting means is they're going to say, hey, you've literally come to this website like 10,000 times in the last, 2 minutes. And, we can't have people doing that because it's slowing down the user experience for everyone else, and it's draining our resources. And this is clear that you're scraping our information, which Yelp may or may not want you to do, right? So in order to get around that, you need to put a delay between every single scrape. So maybe you want to have 15 seconds or 20 seconds in between every single time that you perform another website scrape. So how we can go about doing that is having a sleep function here. So we'll add a module called sleep. It's in tools, and then in tools you go to sleep, and sleep essentially means we're going to delay for a certain amount of time. Now, you could set this to 15 seconds, right? And when you run this module again, when it gets to that step, it's now going to pause and it's going to say, hey, we got to wait 15 seconds before we can continue with the rest of this. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and just do one more thing here. I want to make sure that we only bring in one particular value here, because as we're testing this out, I don't want to be running 10 different web scrapes at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a filter and I'm going to say the value has to be equal to this. And as long as it is, we'll pass. So we're just going to start with one web scrape at a time, just so that we can kind of, get through this module faster. But obviously if you want to scrape 10 or 100 or 1,000, you'd remove this and you just let it run. So let's run this one more time. And let's continue on with this web scraping here. Okay, so we've hit the wait step. And also when you're testing here, guys, too, you probably want to remove this wait step as well, so that you're not having to wait 15 seconds every single time, because otherwise that's a massive, massive pain in the butt. Okay, so we have scraped everything. I'm going to first set this to 1 second, and then we have this next page. So a couple things we may want to do. Maybe we want to convert this into text, right? So instead of it being straight up just all HTML, it's just text. So we've done that, and we're going to actually work with this. In order for us to be able to work with it, we have to run the scenario one more time and get the live feedback. Sometimes when you're running the scrape, it doesn't work 100% effectively every single time. So if you do run into an error there that it doesn't work, you just can go ahead and run it again, and it should work the second time. Okay, awesome. So we have the text. Here's that whole page. So now, what do we actually want to get from here? So let's pull up our sheet. We probably want to get the company and the email and the phone and the services and the website and the context and the date, right? Sorry, we're not going to get the date. That's going to come afterwards. But we want to get some of these other fields here. And I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I want to give you the tools that you guys need to be able to succeed with this, so that when you inevitably do it yourself, you'll know exactly how this works. So we'll go through a combination of multiple different factors. So the first thing that we could do, just to make it super simple, is we could use GPT. Okay, so let's actually load up this exact URL here and see what we're working with. Just want to make sure I get the right one. Okay, so it is this landing page here, or this page, GNC. Okay, so let's say the first thing that we want to do is grab, let's say services offered. So a simple way for us to do that without even having to go pretty advanced with the web scraping is just using ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, we're going to create a completion, and we'll use the GPT-4o model. And the message we're going to do is a system message. And we'll have a simple prompt which we direct ChatGPT to find the services on the page and extract that information. But we also don't want to just have it run wild and answer a bunch of other stuff that we don't care about. All we want is just bullet point form all the way down all of the services that this company offers. And how we can do that is structuring the prompt here properly. So let's say, please find all the services this Yelp listing provides. Provide me the information in a list format with no additional information. Keep it brief, please. Here is the website. And we can provide this data here and click OK. Oh, we just got to go back and change the tokens. I'll put 200. Click OK, save, and let's give this a run and see how well ChatGPT does at extracting this information here. So services offered, right? should have all of these. Okay, so it's giving me another error here. So invalid message content string is too long. Okay, so if that's the case, what we can do is we can use this text string instead, which is going to be significantly shorter because we're removing, once again, all of the HTML out of there, right? Because with HTML, it's like 36,000 characters. You can see it stopped here, so we'll just start again. With HTML, it's insanely long. It's like 36,000 characters. Now we're just going to give it the text here, which is going to be much easier for it to understand. And let's see the results. So it gave us 8. So garden installation and garden maintenance is the second one, which is correct. And then commercial services is the third. Lawn maintenance is the fourth. Yard cleaning is the fifth. Sod installation is the sixth. Landscaping maintenance is the seventh, and lawn seeding is the eighth. So this was perfect. It literally gave us exactly what we wanted without having to do anything. Now, if you guys want, you could literally just do this for pretty much the entire website scraping process, or use ChatGPT to just automatically extract everything that you want. But I'm going to give you one more option here, and that is to use regex. And I think it is very important, if you guys truly want to learn how to web scrape, to be able to do both, because certain things ChatGPT may not be able to extract as well as you'd like it to. And it's good to be able to find information on a page with the exact pattern that you have. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out this website here, okay? And then the phone, and then we'll pull out the business name here. So with this particular website, let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this, come back in here, and I want to find this information in the text here, right? So here is the particular website. So what we need to do is we need to copy this and use ChatGPT to effectively help us find this pattern using regex. Once again, we're not going to be using code whatsoever, right? We're not going to be doing anything super fancy. We're just going to allow ChatGPT to do the bulk of the work for us so that we can extract the exact pattern that we're looking for. So we have our text here. We'll go back to ChatGPT, and we're going to make another regex formula. Regex is just the name for regular expressions in JavaScript, which we use patterns to find information that we're looking for. So please use a regex pattern to extract the URL from this text. And then we will put a period here and add one more line here. Please find the URL in between these two lines of text. And we'll put everything here. Everything here. And we're going to put this bracket here. And the reason why we're doing it like this, and I'm going to zoom in here, is because on all of these lists, you need to make something robust that is going to work for, of course, this page, but then the other 10,000 you scrape as well. And if you use this particular URL here, well, it's not going to work because this URL is always going to be different. But these three dots will always be the same, no matter what, with this bracket. And then this square bracket at the back will always be the same. So we can go ahead and test this out and see what it gives us. We can even try and use this to see if it works here with the regular expression. Let's copy and paste this in. And it says no match is found. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to try this anyways to see if it works when we load it in here. Okay, so, oops, delete this. We'll add another module. We're going to use text parser, match pattern advanced. not a global match. We'll continue with everything here. Continue with the execution. This is important that it's turned on. Here's the pattern. And then we're going to pull in this text here. And let's give this a shot and see if it works. Okay. Sweet. So let's see the result here. So it looks like it actually pulled in an image here, right? So obviously that is not what we're looking for. So we need to come back and change this regex formula so that we can get that website instead of this URL. All right, so let's try this again. We're gonna go into the text, and we had tried this before. Let's see if there's another example here anywhere where the URL is the same. Okay, so it's right here. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna redo this regex formula here, and we're going to change the intro being loading interface, because that will always be the same, right? And then the bracket at the end there. And that's all we're changing. And oops, we actually need to change one more thing here. And that is pulling in all of this information and replacing the example here just so it knows exactly what to work with. And let's try this again and see. So we're doing the same thing. It's just instead of using this link, we're using this link, and we're using the loading interface with the square bracket here as the starting point, and then the square bracket at the end is the ending point. And this is a pretty robust solution in my opinion. I think it'll work right away because we're using 2 points, the starting point and the ending point, which is never going to change, and it's completely unique to the whole website page. So there's not going to be multiple different instances where we might get lost and pull in the wrong link by mistake. So let's go ahead and try this out. We're going to use the new pattern that it just created for us, and let's run this. Just making sure. Okay, sweet. All right, so here is the website that it's giving us. And that also, so that was actually pretty close. It did load in the URL, but it did forget this /biz, right? So coming back up here, we can just edit this to make sure that it keeps everything that we want in here. So like the exact URL. So the last line of defense we can do here is we can just make sure that we provide it with an example of what it looks like that we're trying to extract. And then from there, it should work every single time. So we'll copy this URL back one more time, find this, and we're gonna copy the text that we're trying to do. I guess I could have just copied it from right here and just put one more line in here. The URL that we're trying to extract should look like this. And then we'll remove the loading interface here, remove everything past here. This URL will change every time, but I want to make sure that we match everything between these 2 points. Okay, let's try it one last time. Pray to the regex gods that this is going to work properly, and copy this in. All right, we'll circle back and give this a shot. Click run. And the cool thing is like with regex, it doesn't work every single time. The first time you do have to try it out multiple times, but eventually if you give it the exact, and this was my mistake, I should have given it the exact answer as to what we're looking for so that it knows how the output should be formatted, right? I didn't give it the output, so it didn't give me the exact format I was looking for, but once you give it an example of what it is that you want, it should be quite clear. So if we come over here and we open this up, right, into a new tab, and paste it, remember we have to have the yelp.com in front of it. This should go to the right page, so it's going to redirect us now over to this person's website. So now it works. We got the URL out with regular expression. So that's pretty cool. We've done that. And then let's say that we want to remove the phone number as well, right? We can simply do that again by copying this module, duplicating it, and providing a pattern to pull out a 9-digit phone number. So if we come into GPT again, I'm going to make another regular expression and say, hey, please pull out a 9-digit phone number in this format. The number will always change, but the formatting will stay the same. And this should work. We'll copy this over and paste it in. And we'll run that as well. And let's see if this time it works on the first round. Cool. So we got the fallback match here, and this looks pretty good. We can see that we received the phone number as it stands right there. And then maybe the last thing that we want to do is pull out this, this particular name here, right? Which may be slightly challenging here. So what we'll do is we'll just copy and clone this last module over here, and we'll create another regular expression to get this out. But if we look at the actual name on the page, if we come into the example of what that text looks like, there's a lot of different locations that this is in, right? So you do have a lot of different options here. So essentially what we want to do is find text that's unique before it, and then find text that's unique after it, right? So what we could do is we could say, let's pull this in and create another, and this will be the last regular expression that we create before we wrap up this video. But let's say we have another, we want to pull out the name. We can paste this in as the example, and we need to direct GPT to get this company's name out of here, right? So how do we do that? Well, we want to tell it to pull in all the text in between the starting point people found and before by searching for. And if we actually quickly Command F, this only appears once on this page, right? So this is going to be a one-shot value where we don't have to test this out, or there's not going to be multiple results that are being returned. So we'll tell ChatGPT to provide a regex formula to pull out a company name. I want to pull out everything between 2 points of text. The start will be people found, and the end will be by searching for. The result will always change, but in this instance should be GNC landscaping. Here's an example of what the text is that you'd find that you need to use regex on. Okay, there we go. And we can copy this code in. And hopefully, by praying to the regex gods here, this will be working just fine the first time. Okay. So it looks like we actually had an error here. That's weird. I'm going to run this one more time and just see if that happens again, because that was just a random error. And you will encounter random errors like that, and the goal would be to fix those over time. Sweet. Okay, so the value is this. Now, obviously, as you saw with that random error, it's not going to work every single time, right? And you will have to do a bit more work to make sure it's perfect. But this is a pretty good start of how we just automatically scraped a listing page and then went to an actual, well, this is the actual service page, but like, you know, if we scraped the listing page on Yelp, we found all of the listings one by one and we went through them. If you want to obviously scrape more than just one at a time, you just remove this filter and change this, right? And then it's good to go. So the last step we want to do is just add this into a Google Sheet here, and then we're good to go. So we'll add a row and we're going to add it to this sheet here. Choose the right account if you have multiple. We're going to select from all, and we just need to pull in this ID here for the Google Sheet. Copy that, pop it in here, and it will locate that sheet for us. And we need to map the values, right? So effectively, we have the information from make.com. We want to make sure that that information is placed on the spreadsheet. So we need to, when we're scraping these companies, place the company that we scraped in the company row or column A, then their email if we have that information in column B, their phone in column C, the services in column D, all of that kind of stuff, right? So how we go about doing that is just pulling in the values here. So the company name is going to be this value here. Oops. Okay, awesome. And then the email, we didn't actually get it from Yelp. They don't have an email on those pages or the directory pages for businesses, but we certainly have the phone number here, which is this fallback match. And then the services can be found in the ChatGPT response and under choices, under message, in content. And then the website can be this, right? We just need to put HTTPS Yelp.com in front of that. The context we didn't sort here, and then the date that we scraped this information. We'll go into the date formatter here, and we're going to create a date where we format it, right? So it looks nice. You can see that these are kind of some of the options. This is probably what it would look like if you just put the now in there. I'll hover over that again. So it would be pretty unstructured, right? But I just want to prettify the date so it looks a bit better. And how we can go about doing that is just putting DD for the day, MMM for the month, and 4 Ys for the year. And then it'll sort itself out. Okay, we'll click save, and let's give this a run and see if this value appears on column or row 4 here from the automation. Okay, sweet. So it just went through and we pulled it in. We have GNC Landscaping, phone number, services, link to their website, and the date that we scraped this information. So that is really, in a nutshell, how you guys can scrape tens, hundreds, or even thousands of websites and make your web scraping fully customizable to whatever it is that you're trying to gather, right? And obviously this is just to collect the information, but once you have that information, there's a million different things that you can do with that information for your particular needs. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this content, please make sure to subscribe down below and hit the like button as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you and bye-bye.